All right, this is fascinating. So I was at dinner this weekend with my wife and some of our close friends. It's about five of us couples in our mid to late 20s, and we got onto the topic of real estate. I did not bring it up. I'll have you know, I love talking about it, but it's refreshing to be the one who didn't bring it up for once. Anyways, we were talking about how all five of us had purchased a home within the last 2 years. And the other thing we had in common is all five of us had to get into bidding wars in order to land the home that we wanted. Now, most of us had purchased our homes anywhere from 7 months to 2 years ago, but there was one couple there who had just written an offer last weekend. And even last weekend, they had to get into a bidding war to get their home. Now, for some of you who know what's going on in the market right now, that might not be surprising to you, but the Fed's whole goal ever since last spring was to slow down the housing market. Inflation has just been out of control, and the Fed's plan to get that back under control is to increase their interest rates, which affect our mortgage rates, in order to slow home price growth. And if they had it their way, home prices would even decrease. And that's what we're seeing happen in some markets around the US. But my question is, why is the Fed's action not having as much of an influence on our housing market here? That's what we're going to look at today. My name is Matt Fieldworth with Iowa Realty here in the Des Moines Metro. Today we're talking about the state of the housing market in central Iowa in 2023. I'm not an economist, and there are many people in the area who are much smarter than me who may disagree with what I'm about to say, but what I want to do is give you a better understanding of what the market is doing and how it affects you. I'm friends with a lot of realtors on Facebook, and I see all these market updates, and it's good data, but I think it's just that. It's just numbers. It doesn't tell me what they actually mean. And if I wasn't in the industry, I would have little to no idea what these market updates posts actually meant for me as a homeowner or a soon-to-be home buyer. We're going to look at a few different data points today and how they apply to you.
Why don't you explain this to me like I'm five?
First one we're going to look at is supply and demand. Like I said, I'm not an economist. I'm going to stay in my lane, but I do understand basic economics of supply and demand. When there is a low supply of something and high demand, the price is going to be protected and probably increase. That is exactly what we have seen happen with real estate in the last few years. After the pandemic, when there was a low supply of homes for sale and mortgage rates dropped to historical lows, there was a high demand and those prices skyrocketed. Then the Fed decided, okay, maybe this is a little too much. They slowed things down in the summer and fall of last year, and we saw demand come back down accordingly. What we're seeing now is, I'll throw this graph up on screen. So this red line here represents demand. It's the number of homes under contract, the number of people who have written a contract on a home in a given month. The light green line represents supply. So lately what we've been seeing is, you can look at April and see how imbalanced that demand was over supply. And just in the past couple of months, January and February, demand has started to come back up and supply has come down. That's going to protect prices and cause these bidding wars that I was just talking about. And, you know, it's better than it was in April, but if we look all the way back 5 years ago before the pandemic, you can see our supply is still nowhere near where it needs to be in order to account for the demand, I think, that we're about to have. All right, supply and demand. That's one of them. Prices are protected because supply and demand are so imbalanced still. Okay, check this out too. This is just super fascinating to me. If you take this graph, which is all of the Des Moines Metro, and you change it to take out Des Moines proper and new construction. So we're just looking at resale homes in the suburbs, Ankeny down to Norwalk, Waukee over to Altoona. Look at how drastically this changes. So much of the supply that you see in the whole area is from new construction and Des Moines proper homes. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with those two home categories at all, but they are typically less desirable, and you can see that accounted for here. If you have a home that is a resale home in a well-established neighborhood in one of the suburbs, your price is so well protected. All right, next thing we're going to talk about is interest rates. If we look back on how interest rates have affected buyer demand, you can see there's a direct correlation, but they have also affected supply. 99% of Americans have interest rates locked in under 6%. Like we're seeing right now, supply is still far below where it was pre-pandemic. It's because all these people who could move to downsize or upgrade, they're choosing not to because they just don't want to get rid of that 3% interest rate. And I would do the same thing. If I had a 3% interest rate, I would never, ever want to give that up. I would do everything I could to move out of that property and rent it before I sold it. So that's another factor contributing to the fact that we don't have enough homes for sale to support the demand needs. It's keeping prices inflated. Okay, third thing we're going to talk about is home prices. If we just look at the data as it is, you might be tempted to think, okay, this median home price in the Des Moines area is lower than it was in January. February is lower than January. Home prices are coming down. Not actually. This is one of the most confusing graphs I see thrown out there. What this really means is that the spread of homes sold in February is just at a lower price point than the spread of homes sold in January. It's correlation without causation. What's more important to look at is the year-over-year change in median home price. We're up 6% from February of 22 when things were hot and mortgage rates were low. This is the most recent data we have. It's a little bit of a lagging indicator, but it is still good data to look at. And then let's look at average price per square foot as well. We are up 2.1% year over year from February of 22 when the market was hot and mortgage rates were low. Something else that's fun to look at with prices is if you switch this up to the luxury market, and those are the markets that are hurting right now in the US, is places like California and Florida where they have a lot of these higher end homes. Well, this year over year change in median home price here in our market is 10.6%, and I'm sorry, that's average price per square foot. And if you go to the median home price, it's down 7%. You can see how this changes so greatly depending on what price point you're in. Okay, back to that question we were asking at the beginning of this video. Why is our market in central Iowa performing so strongly while many other markets in the US are struggling? I think it's because of affordability, and that influences supply and demand. Iowa ranks number 4 out of all 50 states when it comes to housing affordability. California, on the other hand, is number 49. Texas and Florida are down there also. Iowa is a desirable place to live right now for people who are maybe hurting from inflation and just wanting to own a home and live a comfortable life. It's affordable here. That is why I think there is still so much demand for these houses that are in the median to maybe even a little bit upper price range, close to 500, 600,000, and all the way down to condos that are 100,000. There is so much demand for that here because there are buyers looking for it, and that is protecting home prices and keeping our market strong. So as this applies to you, I think if you are a seller, right now is just a fantastic time to list your home. The best time to sell your home is when your neighbor's home is not for sale. You want to be the only home out there that's going to work for a few different buyers who are looking. And as spring buyer demand increases, and I don't think the supply is going to catch up, it'd be a great time to list, even this week. But, later on this spring, there's going to be more inventory, and I'm not sure what interest rates are going to do. They have been all over the place. Every single expert has been wrong about what they're going to do this year when it comes to whether they're going up to 7 or 8% or down to 5. What I do know is where they're at right now, buyers are getting excited that they're down from 7% again. They're about 6.5 today, and there are more buyers out looking because of that. So you take this low supply and high demand, you've got a perfect storm for a seller. If you are a buyer, again, I don't know what interest rates are going to do, and buying is a lot more dependent on your individual circumstances. If you're looking for a deal, if you're trying to snag up a property that you can sell next year for a better price, you're probably not going to find one. It's possible, they're just very hard to come by. But if you are looking for a home that you can live in to 3 to 5 to 10 years, you're looking for that home to not just use as an investment, it will be an investment, but to use for your life and your family, then yeah, I would say start looking now. When you see that home that you love, that you're going to stay in for a while, jump on it. I don't know if the market is going to get that much better by the end of the year. It's very possible it will. But if interest rates rise, you'll be struggling with that. And if interest rates go down, you'll be struggling with buyer demand and competing with other people. You have to choose your hard and just watch for that home that you want to stay in, because that's what's really important. If you're just going to be living someplace for about a year or 2 years, I'd advise you to not buy right now. It's going to be risky. There's a chance you may lose some money on that investment. And that is all I've got. I would love to hear if you think I'm wrong about any of this, or if you have your own opinions on where the housing market is headed in 2023, please let me know. I would love to hear from you in the comments. And if you would like to discuss, where you're at as a buyer or a seller individually, where your life is going and what might be the best option for you, please give me a call or schedule an appointment on my website linked below. I would love to get to know you and help out in any way I can. Last ask is to please like and subscribe. Those 2 clicks help me out so much as I attempt to help more people in this way. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you.